There we are. We're back in it. Episode 21. Let me have a look. Yeah, it's 21. It's been 7 months.
Has it actually?
Yeah, it's been a while to be fair.
All right. That's pretty poor from us.
What's the excuse?
Busy, innit?
Busy with lockdowns.
Yeah, in all fairness, like, I have a full-time job now, and you've got
Yep, true.
and you don't want to. I feel like when you're getting into something, you need to be careful with how much steam you're piling on at the beginning, because then you can run out of steam rather rapidly, and then you sort of lose interest and lose passion for the endeavor. So I think maybe looking in the future, this one episode maybe every week, every other week. I mean that's something for us to discuss. Really, we haven't discussed it, but
yeah,
we don't want to run out of steam. We don't want to run out of ideas. So
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, obviously, you don't want people to get bored of the content. So
yeah, it's all
good to
about.
just we'll figure a good time scale out where we can hopefully keep this going, because it's good fun. I enjoy it. And I enjoy when we have people in the chat again. Like hopefully we'll get back to the point where we were having people interacting, week in, week out. It was nice.
Yeah, I think it's a nice creative outlet for us that we can just express our views on certain topics that we don't get to talk about at all, really. And
yeah, exactly.
it's just nice, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't really have these. A lot of people can't really sort of find time in their lives to discuss topics of this depth or complexity, just casually. So it's nice to create something where you can actually voice that. Yeah, especially to someone such as yourself who's so open to loads of different ideas. So it's always nice.
Yeah, I think it's best to have an open mind, especially talking about anything, because you never know what someone else has been through, but also their views on certain topics could be completely different to yours. So if you just come out and be so forward with your opinion and not just close your ears to any other opinion, I just think it's quite rude. I just think you need to be open minded and at least hear the other side of certain topics.
Yeah, 100% agree.
You also you miss out on so much knowledge if you just walk around with fingers holding your ears and not listening to anyone else. I think it's nice to that's what I mean, get other people on the show and talk about on the show, but get other people on the little podcast and talk about anything and everything and hear other people's views on topics.
Yeah, 100%.
What are we doing today? What topic are we doing today?
Aiming for perfection. Should you aim for perfection? Anything in and around perfection in life, I guess. It's a pretty broad topic. It's a pretty blank slate. So it's kind of good in a way. You've got a lot to do with it. If you want to take it in a different direction, you can. So
yeah. So the question I put down on the stream title is, should you aim for perfection?
sure.
Rush up sticker. What's up? We got a chatter. But should you aim for perfection? That's the bold title that I put down for now. And I think for me, my view on perfection is that it's a dangerous I guess it's a dangerous idea to fully focus on. I think perfection in my eyes is something that you cannot attain. I don't think perfection is real. There's always the jokes of oh, you should always aim for perfection, etc. But you never.
Fantabulous.
We got a follower in my ear. Sorry. You should never aim. How do I word this? You should aim for perfection, but you should never, have this idea in your head of.
You should never expect to reach it.
Yeah, because it's unattainable in my opinion. You can't attain something that's 100% because it'll never be 100%. I guess there's some circumstances the first one that comes to my mind is video games where you can 100% make a video game perfect score, 100% perfect.
Yeah, we're talking.
Right?
I mean, okay, so we're talking perfection in a more broad sense of living life perfectly, or are you talking about aiming for perfection in your life's endeavors?
Okay, if we can break up into the two sides. So life's endeavors wise, I think aiming for perfection, or what's the saying, striving for perfection is a good way to go about it, but don't have that, you said, that idea of I'm going to achieve perfection, because that's not possible. As long as you know that you can aim for it but can never achieve it, that's fine. Because
Isn't that subjective?
yeah, that's subjective. But it's always like the saying,
Whether
like,
or not, as in like perfection. So for one person, it could perfection just could be, getting 100% in all of their tests, which in all of their exams or whatever, in whatever education system they are currently in. So in that sense, that one thing is not impossible.
yeah, okay, that's fair enough. That's, like I said, that's a good point. There's little like niches where you can get. I guess we look at numbers. Numbers for us, like you said, that percentage of 100%, that's perfect. So if you get a 100% score in a test or in a video game or something that revolves
Yeah.
around numbers, that's perfect because maths is usually black and white, and 100%, in my opinion, is perfect. That's you can see it's perfect. It's 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
You can't get any better than that. So that is perfect. But when we're
That's
talking
tricky though,
about
isn't it? When you come away from things which are sort of enumerated.
yeah, so anything to do with in my opinion, life, like health. You can't be perfect health. Like, how can you have you can't.
Yeah.
It's so, like you said,
Like
it's
mental
subjective.
well-being,
Yeah,
physical
exactly.
well-being,
It's not like The
life
Sims,
accomplishments.
It's not like The
Yeah.
Sims where we can see our numbers of like health, 70 out of 100 or whatever. You don't know. There's no. I don't think there's a scale of measurement where you can say, oh, I'm perfect at this. You can, everyone always throws that saying around like, I'm perfect at this, or you're perfect with that person, or etc. It's just like I guess like a saying we've all adapted.
Yeah, I mean that's not like saying, "Oh, you two are perfect together." That's not a genuine statement, is it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's someone trying to, convey a certain feeling or certain emotion towards you, but it's not like they are expecting you to say like, "Oh, are you serious? Like, there's nothing wrong with us." Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No,
but that's true for so many different things, so many different like sayings, and the way just comes into sort of like the way people interact, like social interaction,
yeah,
and the way words are used, like the etymology of words, and this becomes a whole different complex issue.
yeah. No, that's true. And I think the best way I view it of perfection is that it's almost like a two-sided coin where you it's good to, like I said, strive for it, but you need to accept that you can't hit it in most aspects of life. Like, you can't hit perfection. It's like the saying, aim for the moon but land for the stars, or something like that. You know that saying? I think it's something like that, right? Aim for the moon but land in the stars, something like that.
Shoot for the moon.
That's the one.
Yeah, I know
Shoot
what
for
you
the
mean.
moon.
I can't remember the exact. No, I can't remember the exact one. I think because I used one the other day when I was working. And I basically, I had an idea that was very ambitious, and as many things do in life, it didn't work out. So I said, you know, shoot for the stars, land like somewhere in Australia or something, because it's just like, the sentiment's the same, no matter how you word it, no matter the precise wording. You're aiming for something that's extremely high, and in the whole point of the saying is to say that, so if you aim that high, you might not get to where exactly what you aimed for, but you're going to go far, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
which
almost
is which is pretty much the entire philosophy behind aiming for perfection. Would you agree?
yeah. It is. Yeah. Exactly that. It's almost like a guideline, or it's like a target for you to hit, but it's a target that you need to accept you probably won't hit because it's not hittable. Like we keep saying,
Yeah.
it's not attainable in most aspects. Obviously, there's aspects like, I guess I feel like education is a not I guess it is an outlier for this, because you can achieve perfection in education because it's done through numbers most of the time. You can see if you've
Yeah.
done well on a test, like we said. But in other aspects of life, like wealth, health, um, even like I'm the perfect friend. Like, what does that mean? Like, there's, like I said, it almost relates back to like Sims again, where if you're playing Sims and you can see how well your Sim's doing in terms of like friendship or relationships with different Sims. Their happiness level. Like, we can't measure our happiness. How can our happiness be perfect? You can feel like it is, but it's so. I guess you're right. It's so subjective in to the person that's speaking about it.
Yeah. I mean, subjective, and entirely just like, well, there's nothing definitive about saying something perfect, is there? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing definitive about the. I don't know, man. I don't know. I
No,
don't
it's
know where
fine.
I'm going with that.
Well, I just want to read out the definition of perfection here, and
Ah,
on Google,
without
um,
flaw.
yeah, it's like the action or process of improving something until it is faultless or without flaws. Um, and like we keep repeating ourselves, it's a strange coincidence that anything to do with numbers you can achieve perfection in. You know, but when it
Mm,
comes to real life scenarios and implicating it, or not implicating, but applying it into real life, it doesn't really work as well, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
if you ask someone, define, here's the best example with the subjective. If I ask you, define your perfect life, what does that mean for you? You don't have to answer it, but that's like the question, right? And so
Mm.
you give an answer A, and then you ask me, sorry, you ask me, and I'll give an answer
Yeah,
B.
it's something
They'll be
completely
different,
different.
yeah. And that's like, I guess what we're trying to get at. Whereas
Yeah.
people need to realize that there's, you know, two sides to each story, or like two sides to the coin. So
Well, it's not. I mean, it's more than two sides. That's what you said. This is just subjective, isn't it? Like,
I think
however you view it, but that's how it is.
I mean two sides in, if it's just me and you, there's going to be two sides. Like it's going to be you
But
talking
yeah,
about it and me.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. It was just us two. Yeah, of
yeah. So
course, nothing's ever.
I think what I want to delve into is why this is dangerous. Why it might be
Yeah.
obvious to people, but why perfection is how we can like see real life examples of it. And
Hmm.
it's going to be like our other podcast that we're talking about social media, and I think that's it's a it affects quite a lot of our generation, mainly because we've grown up with social media, and
Yeah,
you probably know where I'm going with this, but you
I
see
do.
a lot of I see a lot of fitness, especially fit. I think I'll start with fitness. Like fitness on social media is always aiming for the perfect body, and like this is where the subjectiveness comes in. Like perfect to some people isn't this athletic, like ripped like man or like some toned like
Yeah.
female. Um, it's it's subjective, but then you get this idea of perfection creates so much anxiety and stress into these people that are our age or younger or even older, and it creates this almost like false image for them because they think society's telling them to be perfect like this, be perfect with this certain body type, and they're like, I don't want to, but
Yeah.
I'm getting pushed to do that, and it's like this is where all this anxiousness comes from.
Well, yeah. I mean, young people and teenagers, there will always be easily influenced, won't they? And the fact of it is that social media is now like a massive influencer, and then you get these people that call themselves influencers. Who gave them the right to dictate how they influence generations of people and children and teenagers? And they're just sort of doing it freely, using their own subjectivity. They're saying, "Oh, this is how you get the perfect body," and they're saying, it's sort of in a way, it's sort of just like false teachings because it's just sort of saying to their audience, this is the perfect body. That's fact. It's not subjectivity. And then obviously we know in reality that the body they're talking about is subjectively perfect for them, and it just, I mean, it lends into the whole thing we were talking about with social media, where it's all a bit out of control. People are having such an influence on these children who are so easily molded and so easily changed. Their mindsets are so easily like just twisted, and they have this way to instantly connect with them and sort of instantly pass over their opinions and their their life, the way they live their life, that kind of thing. And it's not inherently healthy. And obviously it can be good. There's ways it can be good, but the whole idea of using social media as a platform to show people that perfection is available or how to reach perfection or all this stuff, it's all just sort of like, I don't know, I feel like it's the equivalent of, I don't know, like those well, what are they called, like the papers that are like the Sun and stuff like that, half magazine, half newspaper, just
Um,
all basically used to get more attention.
more
You know,
clicks on on the websites,
yeah. I
etc.
mean,
Yeah,
it comes down to the same thing. They're ultimately what they're doing is, sure, they might have passion in the thing that they are creating, in the content they create, right? You'd hope so, especially the biggest influencers. But the main the main driver is money. And then from that, you need for money, you need popularity, you need clicks, you need people to watch the video all the way through. You need to be growing at a certain rate. Obviously, it's very demanding, and then to do that, you need to create content which is going to be A, controversial, or B, grab people's attention out of nowhere. You need to make sure that you don't lose their attention. You need to make sure it's relevant to your audience. You need to know the audience. Do you know what I mean? It's so complex. So of course they're going to play into these ideas which are more controversial, more likely to get a click, but also more likely to be less considerate and careful with the actual content that's being handed over. When they're making a video about getting the perfect body, they're more concerned with people going across it, scrolling across it in their timeline and seeing like perfect body, I want that. And then keeping them in, reading them in for the whole video. They're not concerned about the fact that this could potentially damage someone's mental health, someone's well-being, or someone's like the way individuals feel about themselves or other people, or how perfect they are, how perfect other people are, even their entire concept of perfection as a whole. That
yeah,
might be completely ruined. But that's the whole thing with social media at the moment, isn't it? Really, it's just sort of too, because of the fact that it's so accessible. You're giving pedestals to these people, which you know I'm not going to try and drag them down. They've done the work to get there, but in essence, they're lucky, right?
yeah,
It's luck that gets people to that level. The top creators, there is a huge element of luck,
100%. Yeah,
because the algorithm works a certain way. No one knows exactly how it works, and coincidentally, what they've done, the content they've produced, it's all just sort of, everything just aligns, right? So they're lucky in one way. They're lucky, so that's how they've got there. And then they don't have like qualifications, right? So they're not like a physiotherapist who studies a degree, holds a practice for many years, and has patience and records, and works every day and becomes better and improves. They're someone who basically is the equivalent of someone who accidentally walks into a hospital, and then someone going up to them and saying, right, here's the tools, here's the ID card, surgery's in there, crack on.
yeah,
And it's just like, shit, all right. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like, in terms of the damage that they can do, that's what I
yeah. No, that's actually a really good analogy.
mean.
Yeah, yeah. It's cardboard cats. Yo, what's going on? So you bring up a good point of, money is the root of all evil. That's
Yeah.
if
I mean, when is it not?
yeah, it's true. It's unfortunate to see that. What's up, Joey? So it's just unfortunate to see, like you said, these influencers, posting, let's say posting or creating some sort of content revolving around the word perfect. Let's just talk about health again, for example. And they
Mm,
say this is your perfect health. This is a perfect diet. This is the perfect routine. Um,
yeah.
they, I think that the biggest issue is obviously they get paid for this, etc. But they never get to see the negative effects of what their work does. They only see the positive effects. So all they see is the money. All they see is the likes and the engagement on the post. They never see, the people that suffer from that post. They never see the people that view that post and feel so much worse about
Yeah,
themselves.
that's what I mean, man. They're abstracted from it all. There's a nice shield between it where, they don't there's this whole illusion that you can get so close to all these famous people, where you can follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, follow them on Facebook, and you can message them, right? What are
Yeah,
the odds that you're getting a message back, your message is being read? What's the odds that the account is even used or even managed by that person? 90% of these people, big enough, that are big enough, have a big enough following, they have PR representatives who are responsible, social media representatives who run those accounts, and that's their job, man. that's their thing.
Yeah,
They don't have, it's not like this is the actual influencer. So they're distanced from the effect that they have on their audience.
yeah, I agree. I think there's a couple of points I want to bring up. So the first point is, you know, I think these influencers either know about the effects they're causing, but don't really. They just like turn a blind eye to it, right? So they know that every time they do these sort of posts, it's affecting people negatively. They just
Yeah,
turn a blind eye. Yeah, that could be an option. But I think the biggest like reason why I want to talk about this subject on this podcast is because I want to like give people this knowledge of telling people perfection isn't, like we said, isn't attainable. So you shouldn't put this pressure on yourself when you look at a post that it mentions the word perfect. Don't instantly think, oh, I'm not there. I'm not perfect. It's not. Doesn't work like that. Perfect just. I think we just throw perfect around so loosely that it's almost. It's just degrading for us, like as the consumers of the content. It's
yeah,
We need to change our mindset on the word perfect and realize, hey, we can't actually achieve this. Don't put so much pressure on ourselves. You can view the post, etc., but don't, after viewing the post of someone having a six pack and eating like some, fish, salad, and whatever for like a couple of weeks straight and getting some ripped abs or whatever, and you looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, "Oh, I'm not perfect." Then
yeah.
you just
Very
gotta,
true.
yeah, you just gotta ignore that and accept, like I said, accept that the word perfect isn't as symbolic as everyone holds it up to be, and go about your day how you want you to look, not how you want someone else to look at you. If that makes sense. You don't. Doesn't matter. It links in with like their opinions. It doesn't matter about their opinions. It matters about you and how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more sad than the death of individualism.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so tragic when you can see people losing their personalities to all these influences and just becoming part of this trend or part of the wave, riding the wave. Like, it's cool. We'll do a summary in a second for people. I think people want like a summary of what's going on. But I'm just saying that, it's sad when you see these people, they're just sort of conforming to the trend or like following the stuff because that's what they think is, because someone else has told them it's cool. Do you run,
Yeah, I
someone
get
else
you.
has told them that's what they should do. And I get that that's obviously very common in um it's very common in like teenagers or younger people. But in older people you still see it, and it's just like it's sad because I feel like the whole point of your teenage years, right, is that you're trying to develop and you're trying to create your individuality, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it just gets sort of stolen. The whole process gets poisoned
yeah, and
by this idea that you need to be a certain way, or you have to do this to be perfect. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think I don't know if you've watched the Netflix. Recently on Netflix, it was about social media. I think it's called. I watched it the other day. No, what's it called? It's about the idea of social media, how it came into fruition, and the data they use on you and how they use it against you. Um,
Oh yeah, I know what you
what's
mean.
it called?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
Someone in chat will probably know.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
the one about putting your phone down, isn't it?
Social
That's
dilemma.
it. Social
Yes.
dilemma. Yeah. Okay.
Um. So
Just a quick. I just wanted to
yeah,
quickly
summarize
give an
it.
update because yeah. Well, yeah. But we're just talking about. I mean, it's the title, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the title.
Should you aim for perfection? We're just talking about how that's dangerous, what it means, whether it's possible, blah 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 blah. Blah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Joey. Don't know how to pronounce your name. Sorry, mate. But yeah. Social dilemma. Watch it. It's interesting. I watched it. I swear he said that he didn't have. Yeah, he doesn't have social media. I was going to say,
Yeah, yeah.
it's persuaded a lot of people not to delete their social media.
Here's
A
my
lot of people to like lower the interaction with it as well.
you brought up a good point of when you're teenager, like between,
Mm.
let's say I was chucking like, yeah, 13 to 19, the whole teenage years.
As in what? Okay, are you
I'll,
talking
I'll,
teenage years
I'll
in total, like where you become, where you
no,
like
so
develop your
when you
individualism?
as a person develop from, you start from 13 to 19 as years, as you go through those years, that's when you're most impressionable, or arguably like very impressionable, right? And so
Yes.
being allowed onto
Maybe not 19. Maybe not
okay,
19.
let's lower it. Let's go to like
17, 18, I'd
yeah,
say.
okay, let's lower it down around there, right? And
Because, when you're 18, you start having the adult
yeah,
responsibilities
yeah,
thrust
that's
upon
true.
you, like, taxes, you expect to get a job, driving, moving out, blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
But yeah, sorry.
13 to like 17, 18.
Yeah, sure.
You're in school, whatever. You're forced to
Mhm.
go. You're the whole point of, like you said, of find or like develop your character you, right? So when you're allowed to whip out your phone and see all these different uh people and things have an effect on you,
Yeah.
it's it's dangerous, and that's why they talk about that in the documentary that social media should have an age limit of at least 16. There's a point in that in the documentary about saying social media should be limited to people from the age of 16 above because you're so impressionable at a young age. Like you said, people start adopting these trends or like just other things that other people do and pick up phrases and stuff. And there's obviously benefits
Yeah.
of that, but you got to be aware of the negatives that come with it. Like we've just been talking about like perfect body, like perfect health, perfect life. Like it's so subjective to everyone, and it almost creates, like you said, this false image inside your own head. But when you're such a young age, you want to be able to find out yourself rather than get pushed it down your throat on a social media app.
Yeah.
That's why to be fair, I am for it. I think since watching it, I haven't been like wary of my use of social media. I try to. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's almost it is an addiction. Like
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's
that's the
addiction
thing.
that no one would admit to. It's like coffee as well. Like people drink coffee like it's nothing, but they're addicted to it. They don't admit it, but they are.
Yeah.
It's just all about balance and controlling it. You just got to create that balance for yourself.
It's sad, isn't it? I mean, I think I talked about it. I have obsession for porn and I'm going to get help. Shape. I'm really happy for you. It's good.
I remember when people used to use social media to post photography content and not always flex. Exactly, yeah. That's the main reason I use Instagram for me, like posting wise. It's like a memory folder for me. I post on there
Yeah.
when I have good
Yeah,
memories.
same for me. Same
Like
for
obviously, last year was fairly empty, out of out of out of our hands. But either way, I use it to like I can open my phone and scroll back through the years and see I did this on that day like with friends etc. I think it's a nice way to view it. But then there's so many ways to use social media. It's just being aware. I think that's like another thing. I want to this the reason why we're making this is to be aware of the ways you can use the word perfection. Being aware
Yeah.
in general of where it's used, why it's used, how to stay positive. That's
Sometimes I feel like your own friends could put pressure on you. The only form of social media I have is Snapchat. I see a lot of my friends showing off their lives. Yeah, I mean, that's just that's another whole another thing, man. That sort of again that plays into that whole discussion on social media we have where a lot of people have social media just for the validation, they wanna be comfortable in what they're doing is they want someone else to say, yeah, what you're doing is cool, what you're doing is good, I like what you're doing, that kind of because people a lot of people need like affirmation, right? And if you can't, with everything becoming digital and everything being developed on social media instead, it's all just becoming social media affirmation instead, right? Because now you have this ability to say, okay, look, I did this on the weekend, and then you have people liking it, people saying, oh, that's really cool, and you feel good, it comes down to that basic release of chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, just stuff that makes you feel good. I mean, but again, it's basic science. As soon as you start getting that in these bursts so often, your need for it increases as well, right?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then your brain is like, okay, so I last time I opened my phone and looked on my Instagram, I got that, I felt good.
Yep.
So then you just do it more, so you post more, and it's just this whole thing, and then you end up being so dependent on it, and because it's not, it's artificial, it's digital. As soon as someone sort of gets fed up, right, of liking your content, or they get fed up of commenting and saying, that's cool, you instantly think, well, I've fucked up. I've gone wrong now. And then you just fall into this sort of pit where you're like, okay, right, well, now I've just like, now I'm just going like work from bad to worse. And now I need something to pick me up again. And then,
Yep.
I don't know, man.
With
It's
power,
just,
yeah, it's an endless
it's just
cycle.
something. Yeah.
It's and the reason why we're in this cycle is because since we were 13, yeah, social media came about when we were 13, 12, 13. So we've been like Owen said, we've been rewired to check our phones, check on social media because that's what we've been brought up with. That's what.
I mean, it's not even like we've been rewired. We've been wired with it. It's
Yeah,
just
that's true.
before
We've
that.
been,
I mean, I guess so. As young teenagers and kids ourselves, we knew what it was like without it, right? We had life
no,
without that.
100%.
But like as we were saying, we went through that influential stage where we sort of becoming individuals. We are suddenly like, you have 5 different social media accounts. You're talking to all sorts of people on there. Each one is used for something else, and there's pressures to sort of maintain each one. And then there's pressures to be social and sort of climb the social ladder in a way, right?
Yep.
And then, yeah, you can access it. It's like that whole thing, the irony of Facebook having an age gate, and it's like, okay, you lie. There's no way of validating it, is there? So people just lie and they create an account, and there's people that have had Facebook for years and years before they went to, and it's just, oh man, it's just this whole. I don't.
There is ways of validating it. The same way, these gambling sites validate it. Just
Yeah,
upload
but
a
they
passport
don't.
photo.
But they
Yeah, no, but
don't.
there should be laws in doing this because it's affecting health that we can't see, mental health. We can't see it, but it's affecting millions and millions of children. Like literally, they're children, and it's like they're being manipulated. Yeah,
I'm
they're
not
just
gonna lie.
being.
TikTok is the worst. TikTok is the worst.
TikTok's deadly. Yeah, TikTok's very
TikTok,
deadly. Yeah.
like of them all, right? So each one is like worse than the last, right? So Facebook, you're like, okay,
That's fine. Yeah.
you're like, you're connecting people are talking, and then they introduce the whole messaging thing and posting thing, becomes a bit much. Then Instagram booms, right? And at the same time, you got Twitter, and Twitter's a different kind of thing. It's more of like a
It's news based, I'd say.
news, comedy, political stuff, but it's still there. And then you've got Snapchat, which is is like a more closed environment. You've not got a feed. You're just talking to individuals, stuff like that. And then, so that, you know what I mean? They're all for these different avenues. And then TikTok comes along, and it's the worst. It's like, it's. I mean, it's genuinely deteriorating the attention span and like the sort of chemical releases of children and teenagers. Do you know what I mean?
Not only
They're seeing
that,
these
it's
they're seeing these short videos, and they're stocking it for hours, man.
yeah,
There's people who go for it for hours and hours and hours,
yeah,
and they just won't stop.
yeah,
And then they, as soon as they in their real lives, they encounter a task, and they're like, okay, it's going to take more than 5 minutes of genuine concentration to get through this.
yeah,
And then as soon as they hit a hump, they're like, right, unlock the phone, bang, let's go,
yeah,
TikTok, because it's easy,
yeah.
It-
I shouldn't laugh because it's a serious thing.
No, no, but I mean, I suffer from,
I suffer from
whenever
it as well.
it's procrastination.
Yeah. It
When I'm
aids
doing
our.
something hard, and I'm like, man, I just want to break, and then I just, open Instagram or something. You just scroll through it. It's just, I uninstalled Facebook actually, and I've had that like that for a few months now. It's nice, but it doesn't really matter because I've still got Instagram and I've still got Snapchat, and it's just, ugh.
Yeah. I think we'll go back to TikTok. Like someone said in the chat is the dangerous thing that it's doing is it's starting these trends that are like really sexual for like people under the age of 16, and it's like what is going on? Like this world's
Yeah,
gone mad
that whole,
because
god damn.
it's just introducing people or children to like parts of life that shouldn't be introduced to them so young, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way we can ever control it, and I feel like life's always unfortunately going to be like unless we're in like some proper controlled society. But you You see some interesting things on TikTok from people God knows what age. It's just worrying that there's no restriction on it. There's no. They always say, well, we're going to restrict this. We're going to do X, Y, Z. But you're still seeing these trends that are like getting worse and worse. Like the most recent
Yeah.
trend, like sexual wise, is people getting naked or in their underwear doing the silhouette challenge. And it's like, right, like
That one's mad, man.
that's what I mean. I was like, what is going on? Like this is
the sad thing is, right? You know what it is. The way I see it. So Instagram is a place where people show off their bodies, and it's blatant, right? It's very 2D. They're like, okay, I look good. I want to show it off so people make me feel nice. TikTok's worse. They use these trends. They say like, oh, I'm jumping on the trend. Like I'm just trying out this latest thing. And they use that as an excuse to basically sort of like engorge themselves on this sort of like self-interested, like, pursuit where it's just like,
yeah,
okay, I want people to see that I look good.
yeah,
And
and
then, yeah, they use these trends as just an excuse for that. So they're just like, oh, I'm just trying out a trend. And then they're just getting half naked on camera. And these things blow up. And then,
yeah.
of course, the ones that are the most popular, they get advertised to everyone, are the ones where they've got the people with the most idealistic bodies, right?
And it's you can link it back to the perfect body. Like people then feel pressured after seeing that, especially if they use the word perfect in the title or in the caption. Sorry, how is that going to
Yeah.
make some of the viewers feel? How is that, especially when it's so easy for a TikTok to blow up? You could get a random account could just get millions of views in a couple of days, and that's insane engagement, and it's insane how there's no way of monitoring it unless sort of age parameters come into place. But then again, does that take away the fun of social media? Are we looking at it like negative Nancy's and like not
Yeah,
looking at
we
it?
are.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
guess
we are.
there is positives obviously, but at the same time, I guess this whole podcast is talking about why perfection is dangerous and aiming for it, and how aiming for it is dangerous, and how not aiming for it without knowing the true destination of perfection is dangerous, and the use of social media and how that's affected us as individuals. It's a juicy one, yeah. It's a juicy one. But social media is a reason looks is more or are more important than personality too. Yeah, I'd say that
Yeah.
that's true. Probably
Yeah.
social media is the fact that our parents never had it, so it's a secret world for young people. Very true, yeah. They
Yeah.
could,
100%.
I'd never really see my mum or my dad like on their phone for hours on end. They use it like every now and then, but
But will the next generation be an improvement? Because the rate it moves, you think about the last 10 years, how many social media platforms we've gone through. Stuff like Vine, Facebook, TikTok. What was the one before TikTok? There
before
was one that was like really similar to TikTok.
really?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I think TikTok like rebranded.
Oh, musically.
No, yeah, that was it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like they go through these platforms and they go through it so quickly. So yeah, Vine was really big. And I don't know. I just think by the time that our generation, are the age of our parents and have children that are teenagers who are now wanting, to have their escapes and join their own social medias. We don't know what it's going to be like. We don't know what the sort of this whole selection of social media will be like. We don't know how social media will even be used. The way that we consume technology constantly changes, and the way that technologies are evolving, the reality is it's probably going to be completely different to what we do now. So I hope what Joey's saying is right. And, we're going to have that education and that understanding, and we'll be able to, and I say we in the personification of our generation. I hope that we're able to like manage, what they'll be able to manage what their children are doing more effectively and with more understanding. And they'll have some sort of empathy when it comes to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. We never got that education in school, I feel. And maybe we did, and I was just so oblivious to it. I just don't remember any, you know, lessons where we talked like specifically about social media for like a whole hour. Like we never really got I guess because it was so new, they didn't even know what to say about it. Because let's say
Yeah.
like back in what was it 2014 and 13 was when Instagram and Twitter started sort of taking off, but that was so early on. It was like when we were year 11, I'd say, when it was like proper getting in its grips. And by then we're finishing school, we're doing our GCSEs. You know, why would they talk about social media to us? But we obviously had
Mm.
like sex ed talks and stuff like that. Social media is so new. But like Joey said, we hope that the next generation get educated on it. I think he's right. I think there will be some sort of, maybe not like a subject on it, but maybe like what was it called? PSP, CSHE, SHE. You remember what that's
Yeah.
called? That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. PD like PSHE.
Yeah, that would probably be implemented to that or something.
I mean, yeah, you never know. Education has always been like a step behind, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's a whole other argument, but yeah, that's. I also wanted to talk quickly on because we've been talking quite a lot on perfection on health and social media. I want to talk about perfection in life. Like what, like I
Sure.
said, I asked that question to you. Like what you don't have to answer it, but what if I ask you what is a perfect life for you? Like I said, you'd give me answer A. You could say,
Yeah.
I'll just give an example, like a nice job that you enjoy, maybe a family, like family home. This isn't just specific to you, just random. That's an example. And then, person B could say, never getting married, never having kids, and like just
Mm-hmm.
traveling the world until they die, like never settling down. This is where it becomes subjective, like we were saying, and I think we get caught up. I've been guilty of this as well, where social media causes us to get caught up in these perfect lives, where we're thrown down our throats these lives that we're seeing, and making it seem to us that they're perfect, whereas they're not perfect because they don't. It's like Instagram's a highlight reel, isn't it? So we're only seeing like the good side of their lives till behind the closed doors, the the lives aren't all happy 24/7 like a everyday average person's life. It's not. Life isn't meant to be happy 24/7. I think we get lost in that because social media is just swarmed with positivity,
Mm.
and it's almost like a fake life, isn't it? And I think I feel bad for targeting influencers, but that's that's like the main target at the moment. It's just they obviously their job is to influence brands or influence us with brands and lifestyles, and they're always
Yeah.
constantly showing these lifestyles of, I don't know, like yachts and stuff
Well,
like
that's
that.
just how it goes, isn't it? I mean, that's work permitting. Like the way they work, it's not a 9 to 5, 5 days a week, is it? They have the time, they have the ability to just sort of go on holiday whenever they want. If they want to say I'm going to take a week off. What's anyone going to do? Say no? Like it's not like your boss is going to say no. You have to keep posting. Maybe, although what do I know? Maybe in the higher leagues when you got so many people as part of your staff, then maybe you do have to meet a certain quota. Yeah, maybe you are not allowed to just go on holiday, and you have to say like, okay, right, well, I'm going to keep posting. Who knows? It, it could be completely different, but yeah, I know what you mean totally. It's so easy for them to give like an unrealistic representation of what life can be like,
Yep,
how good life can be, because
yep.
they're just living completely out of the norm.
And it's again links to the age because people, I think, when I can't even say like they forget, people like so young, like children are so young, they don't have the experience and knowledge of understanding that this what they're living isn't their everyday life. It's just like bits and bobs of the best parts of their life. It's not like every influencer is constantly living in Dubai 24/7. It's like it's a facade in a way. Like they put up there to make their money and just try and create this money flow from these brands. And people, I say people, I keep saying people, but children don't have the knowledge. They don't have the experience in the world to understand this yet. Like especially when you're 13, 14, you see all these like verified ticks and these people who are living these certain lifestyles, and you're thrown into the pit of it. You're just absorbed and surrounded by it all. Especially if you go to school and all your friends are talking about it, and it's it's just a dangerous game to play because the idea of perfect for them is completely manipulated. It's not to do with them. It's to do with what XYZ said on Instagram, etc.
Yeah.
That's why I want you know. That's why I just want Sorry, I just got a noise in my ear.
Cheers.
Oh, I got cheered. We got cheered.
Big moment.
Yeah. Okay, so
What's your train of thought, mate?
yeah, sorry, but yeah, it just thinks back to the idea of I think we need to educate people on the word perfect and idea of perfect, dangerous, and not achievable in most circumstances. There's obviously certain niches where it can be, but
Yeah.
understanding that and moving on from that. Reading the chat, catching up.
Not much to catch up.
No, Joseph, travel until I die is my idea of perfect.
All right. Yeah, that does sound like a pretty good idea, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, not really the best time. It's a bit annoying, isn't it? We wanted to travel spin, didn't
Yeah,
we?
well, it's still
Still do. Yeah. I
can
don't
though,
know.
right?
Permitting. Not right now, obviously, but if it all goes well.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, the spam's a bit much.
yeah, the spam's gone. The spam's gone.
Time them out. Time them out. But
um, but I want from like in the future going forward, I hope we see a positive impact on mental health. Did you see the what's his name? Talking about influences. Probably my favorite one. What's his name?
no.
The one that went on Love Island. Doctor, like the doctor, Alex.
Oh,
Was it Alex?
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was appointed mental health
Ambassador, right?
representative. Yeah. Or,
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's like a good step in the direction of what we need. An influencer who's actually a very positive influencer, in my
yeah.
eyes, who still does genuine work. Like, as in, like, I don't want to say
Yeah.
genuine
I
work
mean,
because he works for like a frontline staff.
doctor,
Yeah, a doctor. Now he's in charge of
mental.
and bringing awareness to that. That's gonna be perfect. I think. Oh, there we go. I've used the word perfect, but it's gonna be excellent to
Fell
see. I fell in my own trap.
Well, it's good to see that because I mean, it's just so easily contrasted with his, the other people who have been on Love Island, the other influencers or whatever,
Yeah.
because there was that whole controversy of, as soon as lockdown is announced, they all fly off to Dubai because they can, and they're untouchable, and all they want to do is party because they can still influence when they're in Dubai, right? And they can
Mhm.
still party while they're in Dubai. It's, I don't know. It's so infuriating to see that, there's no sort of they're just so detached from reality, aren't they?
It's because they're put up on a pedestal. They're like
Yeah, and they just live
they're on a
such a killer life.
pedestal. Yeah, and everyone's like,
But
yeah,
yeah, everyone else is, following lockdown, listening to the government's advice, let alone even having the money available to just fly off to Dubai and spend a stupid amount of money. It's all very problematic, especially if you like add in the controversies of United Arab Emirates as a country and the way they
yeah.
run their country. It's quite controversial and yeah, I don't know, bit.
But I feel like we've just attacked influencers this whole podcast.
So I mean, there are good ones, right? So I'll tell you. So one influencer I like, I need to get his. I'll get his.
What is it? Just general influence, or is it like video games or health or some sort?
No, it's like fitness, but
Fitness, yeah.
he's sort of like an all-round influencer. I'm trying to remember his name.
Yeah. I don't want.
Yeah, so Arms Corleone. Probably seen him on the I'm Just Bait page if you follow that.
I just,
Arms underscore Corleone. Arms spelt with a Z. He's like
oh yeah. Oh, he's
his whole thing
hench.
is yeah. So his whole thing is like a natural bodybuilder. Doesn't use any things, but the whole he's not constantly saying, oh, you can achieve this body. Like, obviously, he's got a very, very impressive body, but he's not always talking about, you can achieve this if you do this. Take this supplement. He doesn't sell his soul to the devil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A light-hearted guy. He makes funny stuff. He makes funny content. No, so he doesn't. He doesn't. So his whole thing is he doesn't take any supplements, steroids. He's all about being natural. Like, you can obviously, if you don't want to believe him, fair dues. But I'll follow him for a while now. He seems like obviously, this is another problem with social media, but you see him through a particular lens, right? So I see him through the lens that he wants to show on social media. So I
Yep.
see only what he wants me to see. But from that, I can see he's a funny guy. He works, he works crazy hard, you
Yeah.
know, constantly just doing stuff. Right in lockdown, he's just like lifting whole tree trunks and shit like that. He's
Yeah. Yeah.
just doing mad stuff. But he's funny, and he's always putting like motivational stuff on his like story, just about like looking after yourself, trying to find peace of mind, staying true to your roots, true to yourself, just working hard. And if you look in his comments, he seems pretty sound. He usually just sort of says like, yeah, you got this, man. If people say like, oh, you've inspired me to do this, he's like
Yeah.
he's like, you got this, mate. Just work hard every day, you'll get there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I showed a bit of his
So,
content on the stream there. Don't know if
yeah,
you saw.
no, I was
Oh yeah. He never uses the word perfect, which is
no, of
interesting.
course not.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, I don't know, he's an atypical fitness influencer. And he's the only one I could think of, like, at the top of my head, where it's like, I could back him, I could endorse him, say like, yeah, I like his content. Like, he's probably the only influencer that I actually follow.
Really.
So yeah, I mean, oh fuck following anyone else. All these like beauty or fashion
Oh yeah.
influencers. Not yeah, obviously, like, that's not my thing. I understand that. Not maybe someone else's thing, and it's just not mine.
Yeah.
But I also just think people who are generally okay, so generally fitness influencers, aside from him, I would not be able to follow them either, because I find honestly, I find it cringy, like the way that they promote their content and the way that they try and expedite this idea that perfection is possible, and you do it by eating this one special supplement that they've been sponsored, thousands of pounds a month to promote. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's also artificial. So that's why I like that guy, because he's chill. He just doesn't have any of that rubbish. Sorry, obviously I never met him. Don't know, but from what you can see, I like the content. That's what matters, and
Yeah.
it does inspire me. When I'm, back when gyms were open, some of his videos, you think, okay, you know what? Yeah, I am gonna, instead of taking the day off this week, I will. I'm gonna go do another session.
That's what you
So it's
want.
help.
Yeah. You want
Yeah,
that inspiration.
yeah, yeah,
You don't want these fake ideas of perfection shoved down your throat. You want the motivation and inspiration to achieve something, whatever you want to be or to do with your life. It's, you want to be in control of your life. You don't want someone else telling you how to live a perfect life. He's just there showing his life, and the fact that you can gain motivation and inspiration from that is perfect. It is again, it's
yeah.
perfect, but it's
Jeez,
it's
it's in
good.
your head, mate.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
but it's like, what I mean. It's like not two dimensional. It's not like, he posts his workouts and stuff,
Yeah,
and his crazy workouts, which obviously, like, they're not exactly for people to go home and do.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
look at
Yeah.
them, like,
I
they're
saw
pretty
some of them.
insane.
Yeah, yeah,
But he also posts a lot of stuff just saying, like, like, oh, feeling like, stuff about what he cooks. This is mostly on his story, which is good. But yeah, so I wouldn't follow. I don't know. I just would not follow any other sort of influencer. I don't think there's anyone whose content I would genuinely enjoy or like believe is coming from the heart. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just, I feel like most of the time it is a job to them, and it is, but it's way too much of a job. So then it just doesn't. There's no passion in it. There's no genuine attitude. There's nothing about it. It's professional,
Yeah.
and it's very clean cut, and it's not what you want, really.
Exactly.
That's, well, subjective again. Personally, not what I want. So yeah.
Exactly. I've said all I want to say on perfection. Have you got anything else to say?
don't know. I mean, I don't know. I could talk. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. I
going
usually
back to
just
the
riff off
question.
what you say.
Yeah,
You know.
okay. Going back to the question. Should you aim for perfection? What's your answer to that?
Okay, that's good. That's a good way to round it off. Um, put me on the spot as well.
I'll go first if you want. If it allows you to riff off mine.
Yeah, right. If you've got something ready.
Yeah, well, it's basically just reiterating what I said at the start. So, should you aim for perfection? Yes. And the reason why is because I think perfection is a good target to aim for. Does that mean it's achievable? No. But it's an excellent target to have and be like keeping your standards high. As long as you understand that this is, you don't want to be a perfectionist and be like, do some sort of work and, oh, it's not perfect. Just as long as you use it to keep your standards high, but not too high to the point where you won't show any of your work, or just try and aim for this 100% ideal, whatever perfect is for you in your mind. As long as you understand that that's not achievable, then yes, you should always aim for.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Actually, I wasn't expecting.
Oh, really? Bring you off.
Yeah. No, I just think I'd say aim for what you feel. Well, aim for what you want. I don't think necessarily perfection should be the route for everyone. You know, I think I think there's a lot of things in life that people will aim for that aren't necessarily innately perfect, and they're not part of this perfect ideal. Even if you're talking about a subjectively perfect ideal, however, they could still be beneficial to someone. Maybe you, maybe someone else. They could be something that just needs to happen, right?
Yep.
There's things that people need to do or people want to do in life that aren't necessarily part of a traditional journey or aren't necessarily part of a traditional self betterment, but they're good or they need to happen. So I think everyone should always aim to be better, right?
Yep.
I think, yeah, okay. I think I might say that aim to be better than you are today. That should just be like today's a baseline because people have off days. You never. If you came to be perfect, you might end up falling short so often that you feel bad and you feel down, and then you end up just going down instead of up.
Yep.
So I think if you just aim to be better than you are today, you might actually just start to see progress on a daily basis rather than it being like a long-term thing where you never actually reach results because all you're doing is aiming for perfection. And like you say, you aim perfection, you hit lower. You hit still high, but lower. And you don't actually get to feel like you've reached your goals. It's like we talked about when we talked about your goals ages ago.
Yeah, I
If
remember.
you set shorter term goals, so you just say, I want to be better than today. And if you do better than today, tomorrow you'll be like, I've done, I'm bettering myself. And then when you have a off day, you don't feel like you've fallen down the well and you don't feel like you can't get up. In terms of a mental well-being, I just feel like it's more beneficial to be conscious that you're not always going to be going upwards and it's not in a straight line. So, and you're not always going to reach the end of your goals, but you want to have that satisfaction of going somewhere. So, yeah, being better than you are today.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
what I'll say.
Yeah, I think because I'm such a work-driven person, or very.
I'm trying to say I'm not.
No. As in,
I know, I'm joking.
you're being a lot more compassionate towards everyone. Whereas I think I was just saying from my point of view, like you should always. I guess I was always
Yeah.
talking to myself. I was like, you should always aim
No,
for.
no, I think I was too. Like, I don't think I'd ever, I think, I am a perfectionist at heart. So I subliminally expect myself to be perfect for sure. But on a smaller scale, I appreciate that I can't do that. And I do let myself acknowledge that I can have days where I improve from yesterday and days where I don't.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a mix of both personally, but I still believe that the ideal that I would suggest or the ideal that I would endorse more so is just being better than you are today, better than you were yesterday, you know?
Yeah. I nearly just said perfect, but I stopped myself.
Stop it, man. You're in your own head about it.
I am, yeah. And I think on that, I just want to read out this little quote just to end on.
Yeah.
It's literally a very short one, and it's The truth is, our idea of perfect is unattainable, and it's holding us back from creating the things we want to create and living the life we want to live. I think that'll be good to like resonate with people and understand that. Just to stop worrying about perfect image, go out and do it.
I mean, it backs the individualism thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's most important to be yourself and be happy with yourself and what you're doing than to have someone else convince you that you should be happy doing what they think is good.
Perfect. Yeah.
Stop it, mate.
Yeah.
I feel like you're taking the piss now.
No, I'm not even. It's literally just on the
Uh,
top of my head. But yeah.
all right.
Awesome. That was beautiful. We'll wrap
Yeah.
that one up, and we'll be back soon. We'll let everyone know. Thank you
Yeah,
for
hopefully.
watching.
Not too long, not too short.